There is a particular stillness that settles in before truth surfaces. Not silence exactly, more like the breath held just before a door opens. If you are drawn to this reading, something in your energy field already knows. Something in the deeper chambers of your intuition has been quietly waiting for confirmation of what it has already been sensing. And I want you to just sit with that for a moment before we begin. Notice where you feel this in your body. Notice what rises before a single word of this reading even lands. Because what I'm picking up around you right now is not ordinary. There is an energy pressing close, and I mean close, in the way that only someone deeply emotionally attached to you could be. I'm seeing something that resembles a tightly folded piece of paper. Like a letter that has been written, rewritten, crumpled, and rewritten again. There is so much wanting to come out here, and yet it is being held. It is being held tightly. And that tension, that compressed emotional weight, is what I'm feeling at the very threshold of this reading. Let me breathe into this energy more fully. What rises first is this image of two figures standing back to back. Not in opposition, not quite. It's more like two people who have turned away from each other in the same moment, each quietly devastated, each secretly hoping the other will turn around first. There is something achingly recognizable about this dynamic. And I sense that many of you watching are living inside this exact feeling right now. This is a collective space, and the energy here is speaking to many hearts simultaneously, so receive what resonates and simply release what doesn't. But I want to linger here with these two figures for a moment, because what I notice is that even though they're standing back to back, their hands are almost touching. Their knuckles are nearly brushing. There is a hair's breadth between them, and that space is charged with everything unsaid. This person, they love you. I need you to really feel that before we go any further. Not as information, but as energy. Let it settle. Because the love that I'm picking up here is not casual. It's not surface level. It is the kind of love that takes up residence in someone's chest and won't leave. The kind that taps a person on the shoulder at 2 a.m. when they're trying to sleep. The kind that follows them into conversations with other people, into everyday tasks, into rooms they thought were safe from thinking about you. This person thinks about you constantly. And that is not an exaggeration. But here is where the energy shifts, and I want to be very honest with you, because this reading isn't going to be one-dimensional. When I tune into this person's emotional current right now, what comes through alongside that love is a storm. I'm seeing the color deep red, but not a romantic red. More like the red of a wound that is still fresh. Still stinging. There's heat here. Friction. And beneath that heat is something much more tender and much more painful. They are angry. I'm feeling it like pressure behind the sternum. Like something clenched and held. And I want to explore with you what I think this anger is actually made of, because I don't believe this is simple anger. I don't believe this person woke up one day and decided to be difficult. What I'm sensing is that the anger is a guardian standing in front of something far more vulnerable, and that vulnerable thing is the part of them that loves you beyond measure and has no idea what to do with that love right now. Notice how this energy moves, it's layered. At the surface, there's resistance. There's a kind of wall that has gone up. But underneath the wall, underneath the heat and the friction, there's this soft, luminous thing that keeps pulsing. And that thing is their connection to you. Their recognition of you. The part of them that, if they allowed it fully into the light, would have to admit that you mean everything to them. That's a frightening thing to admit. Something is being revealed here that feels significant. I'm sensing that there has been a moment of truth, or perhaps multiple moments of truth, in your connection with this person. Something came to the surface. Something that could no longer stay hidden. And the exposure of that truth created a rupture of some kind. Maybe it was a conversation that got too real. Maybe it was something they did or didn't do that you finally acknowledged. Maybe it was an unmasking of feelings, of circumstances, of something that had been kept in the shadows. What I'm picking up is that this person felt exposed by that truth. And when people feel exposed, they often do one of two things: they either step forward into the light, or they retreat into armor. This person retreated. And they built the armor quickly. The anger is part of that armor. The distance is part of it. The silence, if there has been silence, that's armor too. It's not indifference. I want to be clear about that. Because what's interesting about armor is that it's heavy. It costs something to maintain. And people don't carry that kind of weight for someone they don't care about. They are carrying it for you. Because they care so deeply that they don't quite know how to stand in the full weight of that caring without feeling completely undone. This resonates for many of you, I know. The person you're thinking of right now, there's a part of you that already understands why they're pulling back. There's a part of you that almost knows the reason before I say it. And I want to validate that intuition in you, because you are more perceptive about this situation than you're giving yourself credit for. Let me feel into this a little more deeply, because there's something else present here. At first this felt like simple conflict. But now I'm sensing it's something more complex. This feels like two souls who recognize each other on a level that goes beyond this single moment in time. There is a sense of this connection being ancient in some way, or at least deeply karmic. Like these two energies have been pulling at each other across many seasons, maybe across many lifetimes. There is something fated in the way this love persists. Something that refuses to dissolve no matter how much either of you tries to make it dissolve. And that persistence is exactly what makes it so complicated. Because here is what I want to bring your attention to: there is an obstacle between you. Something is in the way. And when I sit with what that obstacle actually is, I'm being shown that it isn't external circumstances, though there may be those. The obstacle I'm sensing is an internal one. It lives inside this person. It might live inside you as well. I'm seeing the image of a boulder sitting in the middle of a river. The river is still flowing, the water is still moving around the boulder, but the boulder is changing the course of everything. And this boulder, this obstacle, is made up of fear, pride, old wounds that haven't been properly tended. Perhaps a belief that love always leads to loss. Perhaps a pattern this person carries from long before you entered their life, a pattern that tells them it's safer to push away than to stay open. Do you sense what I mean? This isn't really about you. It's about everything they bring with them that existed before you. But it is absolutely affecting you, and it is absolutely standing between the two of you right now. I want to pause here for a moment and just allow that to land. The thing that is blocking this connection isn't a lack of love. The love is enormous. It is almost overwhelming in how present it feels in this energy field. No, the obstacle is something entirely different. It's the unhealed place inside this person that doesn't believe it gets to have something this beautiful without it being taken away. And so they are doing what wounded parts of us often do. They are acting out. They are taking the wheel away from their higher self and driving the relationship from a place of hurt. What comes through is this image of someone pressing their foot on the brake with both hands simultaneously reaching toward the wheel to turn the car around. They are in conflict with themselves. They want to move forward, every part of them that is awake and aware wants to move forward, and yet something keeps engaging the brakes. The anger you may be experiencing from them? That's the brake engaging. The way they light up around you, the way they seek you out, the way their body language shifts when you're near, that's both hands on the wheel trying to turn back toward you. They are fighting themselves. And when someone is fighting themselves, they will sometimes direct that conflict outward. They will sometimes point it at the person who is closest to them. The person they feel most with. And that is often the person they love most. I want to be very gentle here, because I also want to acknowledge that if this person's behavior has been hurtful, that is real. That deserves to be honored. Loving someone doesn't give them the right to wound you. And I'm not suggesting you absorb the impact of their inner war without question. What I am saying is that beneath the behavior is a love story that is still very much alive, still very much in motion, and still very much yours if you choose to navigate it with awareness. There is something here about a potential turning point. I keep feeling this energy of a threshold, like a doorway standing open that neither person has fully stepped through yet. And I'm sensing that this person, somewhere in the quieter hours of their life, is beginning to do some kind of internal reckoning. Something is shifting in their relationship to the obstacle I mentioned. The boulder in the river isn't moving yet. But I'm seeing hairline cracks beginning to form in it. They are thinking about what matters. They are thinking about what they want their life to actually look like, and whether the walls they've constructed are serving them or suffocating them. And the more they sit with that question, the more your energy rises to the surface of their thoughts. Because on some level they understand that what they feel for you is the truest thing they've accessed in a long time. They may not be ready to say that. They may not have the language for it yet, or the courage. But they know it. Something profound wants to come through here about forgiveness, and I want to approach it carefully. Because this isn't about dismissing what has been painful. It's something more nuanced. I'm sensing that somewhere in this dynamic, there is something that needs to be released. I don't know if the release needs to come from you, from them, or from both. But I'm seeing an image of hands slowly unclenching. The letting go of something that has been gripped so tightly the knuckles have gone white. And what's being gripped is not necessarily another person, it's a version of events. A story. A wound that has been repeated internally like a song on loop. This energy seems to say, the holding on is not protecting either of you anymore. The story of what went wrong, who did what, who owes what, that story is the real obstacle now. And releasing it doesn't mean pretending nothing happened. It means choosing something bigger than the wound. It means choosing the river over the boulder. What I'm being shown is that both of you have the capacity for this kind of release. But it requires a willingness to be seen. To be vulnerable. To walk back through the doorway that pride closed and stand there bare and honest and human. That is terrifying. It is also the only way through. I'm sensing a message here that wants to come through for the person you're thinking of. And I want to deliver this gently, because it feels very sincere. The energy seems to say, they are not as unreachable as they appear. The wall is high but it is not permanent. Somewhere behind every sharp word, every cold shoulder, every moment of distance they have created, they are actually longing for you to see through it. Not to accept the behavior, but to see through it to the longing underneath. They don't fully believe they deserve to have you see them that way. But they are quietly, desperately hoping you might. This is a person who carries love like a secret they haven't figured out how to share yet. Let me sit with the larger picture of this energy for a moment, because I want to give you a sense of where this is headed. What I'm feeling is that this connection is moving, very slowly but very surely, toward a moment of clarity. A moment where the truth of what exists between you can no longer be denied or maneuvered around. The universe has a way of doing that with connections that are meant to be. It just keeps arranging the circumstances until the two people involved have no choice but to look directly at each other. I see something that feels like a commitment energy rising on the horizon. Not necessarily an immediate declaration. Please don't take this as a specific prediction for a specific timeline, because this is a collective reading touching many different situations. But the energy of commitment, the energy of someone choosing to step forward and choose this, choose you, is present. It's building. It feels like a wave that hasn't broken yet but is getting closer to shore. And the question that keeps rising for me as I sit in this energy is, will this person be ready to make that choice when the moment comes? And the answer I keep receiving is yes, but only if they do the inner work that is being asked of them right now. Only if they face the obstacle they've been using this conflict as a way to avoid. For those of you in this collective who have been feeling uncertain, who have been asking yourselves whether this person still feels what they once felt, whether the connection is still there, whether you've been imagining it, I want to speak directly to you. You are not imagining it. The love is real. The recognition is real. The sense that something deeper is at work here is completely real. What you are navigating is not the absence of feeling but the presence of too much feeling meeting too many old wounds. And that is actually a sign of depth. Shallow connections don't create this kind of turbulence. Only something truly meaningful does. What you're being invited to consider is your own relationship to patience. Your own willingness to hold the space for this person without shrinking yourself, without abandoning your needs, without disappearing into waiting. Because the highest version of this story isn't one where you become smaller so they can become braver. It's one where you remain fully, beautifully yourself, and that very wholeness becomes the thing that gives them permission to walk through the doorway. Your wholeness is not a threat to this connection. It is the invitation. There's more depth here than I first sensed. As I stay with this energy, I keep feeling this quality of counterpart energy, the sense of two people who are, on a soul level, mirrors for each other. Who trigger each other not out of incompatibility but out of profound recognition. You see in each other the things you each most need to heal. You illuminate each other's shadows. And that kind of dynamic is not always comfortable. In fact, it is frequently the most uncomfortable thing a person will ever experience. But it is also one of the most transformative. The anger, the upset, the obstacle, when I look at it from this angle, from the angle of two souls deeply intertwined and doing the necessary work, it changes shape. It looks less like a problem and more like a process. It looks less like something going wrong and more like something going through. And going through is not the same as falling apart. Going through is what growth looks like from the inside. As I begin to draw the energy of this reading toward its close, what comes through most strongly is a kind of warm golden light. I know that might sound abstract, but I'm very intentional about it, because it isn't the bright white light of sudden clarity or the urgent red light of crisis. It's the warm, slow, amber light of something returning. Something that has been away finding its way home. That is the quality of energy I feel around the two of you. There is a homecoming quality to this connection. Like no matter where it goes, no matter what tangents and detours and painful silences take place along the way, there is a gravitational pull between you that keeps drawing you back to center. Back to each other. The divine counterpart energy, that sense of fatedness, of recognition, of something greater than coincidence, that is very present here. I felt it at the beginning of this reading and it has only grown stronger as I've moved through the layers. Whatever this is between you, it is not ordinary. It is not accidental. It is the kind of thing that doesn't need to be forced into being because on some level it already is. I want to leave you with this as you close out of this reading and return to your day, to your life, to the complexity of the situation you're navigating. You are seen. This connection is real. The difficulty you're experiencing right now is not a sign that things are broken, it's a sign that something true and significant is trying to come into clearer form. The storms that pass through meaningful connections are not evidence of incompatibility. They are the pressure that shapes something extraordinary. Trust your own perception. Trust the love you feel. And please, trust your own worthiness. Because the most important truth this reading has offered is not about what this other person feels, but about what you deserve. You deserve to be loved fully, openly, without armor, without anger, without someone making you question your own reality. You deserve a love that chooses you with its whole chest. And the energy here says, that is exactly what is moving toward you. Hold steady. Tend to yourself. Release what you are gripping too tightly. And when the moment comes, and it will come, let yourself be loved. Take what resonates and leave what doesn't. You know your situation best. If this touched something true for you, trust that recognition. Sending so much warmth to every single person in this collective.